After a few minutes, he lifts his head to kiss me. "You're all I've wanted," he says. "And you're all I've needed," I reply. I tangle my fingers in his curls and deepen the kiss as we warm up for round 2. My name is A.E Valdez. I live in the Pacific Northwest, and I am a Black romance writer. I've been writing since 2021. I really started to take it seriously when the pandemic came about, when everybody kind of started taking their art a little more seriously. But yeah, that's when I decided to publish my first book in July of 2021. I decided to be an independent Black romance author because I like to do what I want, and I didn't want to be told what I could or could not do, and I wanted to allow people to experience my art in its purest form. And I felt like if I went traditionally published, it would be so watered down by the time it got into people's hands that it wouldn't really have my voice in it. I wanted to maintain my voice and basically just take up space wherever my books, whatever hands my books fall into, like I wanted to take up space. My introduction to Black love was, I guess, with marrying my husband, really. But even before that, I come from a very diverse family. I mean, I have siblings from all over the world, from like Mexico, Africa, from Puerto Rico, Nigeria. Like, they're from all over. We're from all over. So my experience with love has been, my whole life is a love experience. My whole life is a love story. And that was just my introduction to Black love, was, you know, with my husband, with my kids, with just everybody that I interact with. I love love, as cliche and cheesy as that sounds, but that was just my introduction to Black love, was with my husband and with my family, and I wanted to be able to amplify that, I guess, narrative, you could say. What's motivated me to sit down and write a love story was, I had the thought of, if not now, when? When am I going to do this? Because I've been writing my whole life pretty much, and I don't think I understood the significance of my words until I started publishing books. And then I would get messages from readers saying like, "Oh, this line changed the way I think about something," or "Your books saved me in such and such way," or, you know, and I decided that I just wanted to take it seriously and try, at least, even if I wasn't good. I believe in the romance that I write in my books. I believe that everybody has the opportunity to find love in their life in some way, whatever way that may be, but I do believe in the romance I write in my books. I don't think that it's just like an imaginative thing. I don't think it's some unattainable feeling or emotion. I believe that everybody is worthy of feeling that way that I write in my books. I grew up in a very unique family. Like I said, I'm adopted, and I'm the youngest of my family. We moved around a lot, but I believe that gave me a unique life experience because I've seen so much. I've been around so many different people, and lived in so many different communities, I guess, so to speak. And the central part of my whole childhood was love and acceptance, and that's something that I write a lot about, is love and acceptance, especially acceptance. And your existence means you're worthy, full stop. Like, there's nothing after that. And so as a child, I just wrote because I lost my mom when I was 11 to cancer, and writing was my therapy. Before, I tried talking to like therapists and stuff and everything like that, and I never felt comfortable because I didn't understand, how could this person help me? So I started writing, and that was how I fell in love with writing, and also learned to fall in love with myself. I think one of the biggest struggles and challenges for me is, a lot of people say they support indie, and then when an indie author tries to, for example, set a book price at what you would pay for a traditionally published author, they don't want to pay that because you're indie. Why would I pay that? And so it's really breaking that barrier between traditionally published and indie published, and you see it like, oh, indie published books aren't as well published as traditionally published books. And I'm in the indie industry, and I know that there are amazing indie authors. Everybody knows that there are amazing indie authors. So I wish we could break down that that ideology of that indie is less than, or that because you're indie, I shouldn't have to pay as much as traditionally published or whatever. It's been something that I've faced more and more, especially with this book that's released, because it is at a higher price, but I've grown as an author, I put in a lot of time, and that's what it's set at. So I guess it's just like setting your value and sticking to it, and people just accepting like that's what it is and supporting that. So as an indie author, for me, I rely heavily on Amazon, and they have a program called Kindle Unlimited, which is an amazing program because you can reach a large amount of people and they just pay a subscription price. But while the subscription price has gone up, the pay that we receive has gone down, and which makes me question, other authors question, like, is this even worth it? Because you're only getting paid pennies per page. And so when you see an author, especially an indie author, who is charging more for their work, who's charging more for their ebook or their paperback or whatever, their Patreon, whatever they're doing, accept that and just affirm their worth, because they're doing everything they can to make money. It costs money to publish books. It's not something that's free for us. We have to pay for an editor, we have to pay for marketing, we have to pay for sometimes people just to even talk about our books. So it is a challenge when Amazon's getting paid more and you're getting paid less, and you want to keep writing these books, but the money isn't the same as it was a couple of months ago. So it's a very unstable environment to be in, especially for indie authors, because you do everything yourself, right? So if an indie author is asking you for more, just say, all right, I can give that to you. Support that. It's not even a full penny. It's like 0.00 something, but that fluctuates from day to day, from week to week. Amazon adjusts that, because the way Kindle Unlimited works is it's a pool of money. Altogether, we may make $1.2 billion or whatever. We're only getting X amount of money from that pool. And then once you reach a certain point, you can make more money, but you have to reach a certain point, which is kind of an astronomical point that you have to reach, especially for indie authors. Because people don't understand that indie authors aren't the only ones that are in KU. It's also traditionally published authors who have a completely different marketing team than what indie authors do. And so that really it's not a level playing field at all. You can have one author here and one author down here, and while I found success as an indie author, that's not the truth for everybody, And even though my success is here, I'm constantly thinking, okay, what can I do next? What can I do next? If readers want more, I feel like they also have to give more, to pour into the indie authors the way that we pour out books to you. That's buying the ebook, buying the paperback, buying direct from the author than you are from reading in Kindle Unlimited. And I'm not knocking Kindle Unlimited, because that's where that's exposure. That's where a lot of people's bread and butter is. But I wish that Amazon would pay us better. Well, advertisement for book publishing in general is very white. It's still very Eurocentric. And so when you're an author of color, especially a Black author, it just adds another barrier. And while there are avenues like TikTok and Reels and Instagram and all of that, and doing interviews.
Reading and writing, she likes to be outdoors, so welcome.
Yeah. Thank you for having me again.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. There's going to be a lot of people popping on. We'll try to address.
Tomorrow I'll be doing one of my favorite things, talking about my books. It's still a challenge because social media is hard. It's like another full-time job, because you're having to constantly put out content to remain relevant. And it's exhausting, especially for indie authors, because you're the writer, you're the editor, the marketer. Like, you may be working with other people, but still there's so much that just falls directly onto you and choices that you have to make as an indie author. And yes, this is the path I chose, but I wish it was a little bit easier and a lot more supportive. Okay, I'm gonna try not to cry. I just got a message the other day, because this year has been hard for me. And I got a message the other day from a reader, and she said that that I have blessed hands and that my work has changed her life, and that she hopes God continues to bless me. And messages like that, where they're just pouring into you, is just enough to be like, okay, I can keep going. I can keep doing this. I want to keep doing this. Like, just little affirmations. So speak kindly. If you don't like something, just move on, but just speak kindly to other people and pour into people. And I love getting messages.
Okay, hello everybody. My name is Mika. These are my girls. This is Nish, Kanisha, and Mimi. We are the Cover to Cover Book Club. We found this, event coming up. We were like, we have to go, we have to meet, and we're here. And then when we find the authors that was on the list, some of the authors that were there, A Valdez, A.E Valdez is one of, we stand her around here. We love her. She can do no wrong. So
when people do that, there's so many ways to support an author. Like, even just saying like, hey, I love your work. Something as simple as that is so affirming that it can help you keep going as a writer and as a creative too. So yeah, I enjoy talking to readers and just hearing their insight on my books. And there's sometimes that people will say something and I'm like, you know what, I never even thought about that way, and I wrote it. And here you are thinking about it in this entirely different thing. But that's the beautiful thing about reading, is it hits everybody in a different way. It feels surreal to be here in Pasadena, being a part of this with Girlfriends Unfiltered and Octavia's Bookshelf, and getting to meet readers in real life is just insane, because usually they're just in my phone and now they're in person, so it's been amazing. When I started writing these stories, I had no idea who was going to read them, where they were going to end up. Like, I had no idea until I started getting messages. I don't read reviews like I used to, but when I read reviews, I just didn't know that it would resonate so deeply with people, that it would stay with them, that they would reread them. Like, it's beyond my wildest dreams. Like, it's completely beyond my wildest dreams.
To tell me how much you love and appreciate my work. Thank you. Because while I always love to hear it, sometimes I need to hear it. So thank you very much. If you ever take the time out to do that, I appreciate it. All love is appreciated. So I just wanted to take my time to tell you thank you for supporting me along this journey. It means everything to me. A year ago, I didn't think I'd be here, but I'm still here, standing 10 toes down, and I wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
It has been a beautiful journey. Even with the bumps in the road, it has been a beautiful journey. Being where I'm at, and I'm already a very private person, very loner, but I've worked really hard on creating a community this year. So I have amazing readers, but I also have an amazing Facebook group that's more private and intimate. And then I have, I don't know if you're familiar with Robin, but she calls herself the president of my fan club. So I have people who are supportive that I talk to pretty much daily. And so while I may not be in these areas with them, while I may not live in the same city as them, I still have their support, I still have their love, I still have someone to lean on when I'm like, I don't know if I can do this, or I don't know if this is worth it anymore, or hey, I have this idea, what do you think? Or, so while I may not be in a community physically, I have a community around me anyways. Being an author has impacted my family well, for one, I don't share my family on social media at all. That's a personal choice. But it's been really fun, I think, because like I was talking to my husband yesterday and he was like, wow, I had no idea that you had like all these reviews on A Worthy Love, or you had all these ideas on or reviews on All I've Wanted, All I've Needed. And he's like, you have how many followers on TikTok? And like, it's this just, while it's not like I don't have 1 million followers or anything like that, it's still, people know who I am. And they know what I write, they've read my books, they're familiar with it. And so it's overwhelming in the best way possible. That's the only way I can describe it. I started with TikTok because my best friend said, hey, you need to get on TikTok because it's a good way to market your books. I was like, no, I don't want to be on camera, I just want to be behind the scenes. And then I started doing TikTok and I started realizing like, oh my gosh, I'm connecting with people that I would have never connected with on any other social media outlet. And so I just kept putting out videos, got new readers. And then not only was I just putting out videos, but I was creating this community and people were getting to know me. While we may not be sitting down and having a conversation, they're still getting to get little glimpses into my life, see how maybe I came up with this idea for the book or something like that, but it's just a different way to connect with people. My goal going into TikTok was not to make money, it was literally just to connect with people. That's it. I stay true to myself by listening to myself. That's the reason why I decided to be an indie author in the first place, was because I wanted to be able to listen to myself. And as a recovering people pleaser, publishing books has taught me to do what I want regardless of what else is going on. Because I could write to trend, I could write to market, I could have different covers and things, but I don't. I stay true to what resonates with me, because if it resonates with me, it's going to resonate with other people. I want readers to be able to see themselves in the stories that I tell and write, and I want them to be able to just, even if it's just a little piece, that's enough. If I could change anything, it would be that we don't have to kill ourselves putting ourselves out there, because it's a lot of work, especially as an indie author, trying to get exposure, trying to get the same opportunities as traditionally published authors. Not saying that everything just lands in their lap for them, because I've also seen things with them too, but we have to work just a little bit harder, and then that gap gets bigger when you're a Black author. And so I wish that there was just some way in the industry that we could figure out a way to get ourselves out there more without it being so exhausting, because it's exhausting. But I think that social media in general is exhausting, just because, you know, everything is content and everything is, you know, like everything always has to be content. It's like sometimes we just have to take time and pause and disconnect from everything for a while. If there was a book that I can make into a movie, it would be All I've Wanted, All I've Needed, because I would love to see Harlow and Asen come to life in Seattle and just put the Pacific Northwest in a movie and just really see it come to life. That would be fun. The joys for me of writing are getting lost in my head, coming up with new characters, new places. People who don't write, it may sound a little crazy to them, but the characters start speaking to you. Like you really, it gets to this point, it's almost like an obsession. Like you hear them speaking to you and you're like, okay, I gotta write this down, I gotta get this out, and then it's like a repetitive thing, because you just keep writing the book until it's done. And then you have this whole story, these whole characters that are coming to life on a page, and it ends up being this beautiful thing. And I love that feeling of just figments of my imagination, people falling in love with figments of my imagination. Like, these people aren't even real and you're falling in love with them. Like, I've written 6 books, and the most recent one comes out. I'm super excited. I can't wait. I'm so excited for that one. I personally love the Pacific Northwest, so that's why a lot of my books are based here, is because I love this area. I've been so many places, but this will always be home, and that's probably why so many of my books are based here. But I've also done research for like the Seychelles Islands over in Africa and stuff like that, because it's just fun to do research and see what else is out there, because I don't really agree with the saying of write what you know, because we can do so much research nowadays, and it's fun to see what else is out there and learn and grow, and also be able to share that with others too. Audiobooks are expensive to produce. One audiobook starts at like $3,000, and then it just climbs based on how long your book is, how many narrators there are, things like that. And so I was fortunate to have an audio production company reach out to me and ask if they can buy the audio rights to my book, which I went ahead and did it, because how am I going to afford to produce 5 books on audio, especially with like the length of my books at like 500 pages. And so that's a huge barrier. It's like you almost have to rely on an audio production company. It's not like where I can go and publish a book by myself, and I don't need anybody else, right? But with audio, you need other people. So when readers are like, where's the audiobook? Where's the audiobook? It's like, it's coming, but it's expensive, and it's got to take time. And so audiobooks are coming, but they're just it's a different, how something reads in a book is different in audio. You have to make sure that it's clear, and you have to make sure that it's concise, and you have to make sure that if someone's listening to it, that they can process it, right? And it's just like with reading, you can go back and reread the same sentence over and over again if you have to. Yeah, audio is really expensive, and so if an author doesn't have audio yet, just be gentle with them, because it's expensive. So but there are audio production companies out there, and they're amazing to work with, and it's a good way to get your books into more people's hands, because some people don't even read physical books. All they do is listen to audio, and that's amazing. And I can't wait to break into that arena and just reach more people.
You guys, look at my books in a newspaper.
If there is a movie producer out there who would be willing to work with me, I am a dope author. I have a huge following who loves my work, characters that come off the page. Work with me. Reach out to me. Come to me, because we will create magic. I chose sunflowers for my book covers because they're joyful, they're happy, and they're bright. And for me, it was a new beginning. And for me, sunflowers represent a new beginning. And it was important. While each book is for me, I also knew that other people were going to be reading it. I was just hoping that would resonate with other people. And when I put a sunflower on the front, I didn't realize that people would associate me with sunflowers from that point on.
I am A.E Valdez, and I am Amanda's second mom. We have sunflowers just because she loves them, so we have them here for her. She doesn't know that we have that. She is the reason why we have them here, though.
I mean, I'm not mad about it at all, but yeah, just joy, happy new beginnings, and you know, just good things. I find inspiration from a lot of places here in the Yakima Valley. A particular one is Cowiche Canyon, which is a trail here in Yakima that I hike with my family pretty frequently, and I'm the type of person that is outside all the time, and that's one of my favorite places to go, because you have the trail, you have water, and there are so many it's just rejuvenating for me to be outside, and that's one of my favorite places to go besides Franklin Park. There's something rejuvenating for me about being outside that recharges me. And then for Inkling's bookshop, I wasn't really thinking about local support when I released my books, and then I released them, and Anne, who works at the bookshop and does the social media, reached out to me to do an event here, the Bookstore Romance Day, and they have been so supportive of my work ever since. And I never dreamed of my books being in a bookstore, and then now they're on their shelves, so I find inspiration all over my community.
Proof copy of A Worthy Love came in, and it is gorgeous. I mean, look at her. She is gorgeous.
I started going to Sugar Shack when my son was 3. He's 15 now, so it's been a really long time. The owner, Maria, we just started talking like while she was making my coffee, and our relationship developed from there.
Well, she does come here every day, so we talk for hours sometimes. I don't know how to put it into words. It just makes me emotional to have her think of me as a mom, because I always tell her my mom was so special to me that nobody can compare. And for her to have me as a mom figure, it's very special for me, because I don't think moms can be replaced. And just knowing that she thinks of me as a mom is the greatest thing. That's the one thing that I always tell her, is like I don't know how because I'm not that special, but for her I am. So that's one thing that I love about her, and I just love her, everything about her.
She's become my second mom over the years, because I mean, we talk a lot to the point where my kids are in the back seat and they're like, "Mom, let's go, stop talking." Like, let's get back on the road. And we just have become really close, not only just with Maria, but also she has 4 daughters, and I've become really close with them too.
I just love her. She's amazing. She's special. She's just one of my girls. I have 5 of them with her, so she's very special.
It's just been a place for me to go to get my coffee, to talk to other people, like just another like small little community, but with Maria and her family. And they've been so supportive of me and my family and the work that I do. And
well, obviously I knew that she was writing for other things, but when she told me she was writing books, I became very emotional, because I love her to death. I'm just proud of her for doing what she's doing and making an impact in other people's lives, like she has impacted my life in a positive way.
the whole reason why Harlow and Asen met at a coffee shop was inspired by Sugar Shack. So that's why I thought it was so important that you go there to see this place that was a huge inspiration for me for my first book.
Maybe her coffee that she gets almost every day, we should name that after her. She gets, it's called a turtle. Well, she goes between the turtle and it's called a London fog. It's a tea. Well, maybe after she becomes famous, we will name a coffee after her. Coffee drink or whatever she likes.
Okay, it would consist of white chocolate, English toffee, caramel, and half and half. Iced. Even in the wintertime. Yes, something sweet. If they wanted to get a drink from, like, basically inspired by me, I would be amazed and honored, and I think that would just be really awesome. Like, it'd be amazing. I never even thought about that until you brought it up, and now I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna talk to Maria about that tomorrow. One of the narratives that has been talked a lot about as of late, like recently, is the trauma, especially in Black romance books or just Black books in general. My response to that is there's not anybody's life who's not touched by trauma, but specifically people of color and Black women have experienced unimaginable traumas, and I just wanted to share stories of how trauma does happen, but there is life after trauma, or there can be life after trauma, and how important mental health is, and talking to a therapist and being open with people that you feel safe with, and having people who are soft landing spaces for you in your life, and not being afraid to talk about your trauma like it's something that you should be ashamed of. Everybody has something, and it's important to talk to people about that, because no one else can deal with your trauma for you. Like, you have to deal with your trauma yourself, and I believe that the best way to do that is going to therapy, or finding a form of therapy that works for you, because there are so many forms of therapy now. It's not just sitting down on a couch and talking to a therapist for an hour. There's bibliotherapy, there's therapy with horses, there's so many, music therapy, art therapy, there's so many different forms, and I believe it's important to have these conversations about mental health, about trauma, and about therapy, to normalize it, especially in our community, because there's still a stigma around seeking help and going to a therapist. And the more we talk about it, the more comfortable people will become with going to seeking help for themselves. I talk about trauma in my books, but I also talk about the healing in my books as well, and how important it is to understand that healing isn't linear. So while sometimes we take 2 steps forward, we can take 1 step back or 2 steps back, however you want to word that. Healing is just as important as the event that caused you to have trauma in the first place. And I like to, maybe not all the issues are resolved by the end of the book, and I do that on purpose, because that's not how trauma works. That's not how therapy works. You carry it with you, but you learn how to cope with it. You learn ways to cope with it, whether it's going to therapy, talking to a friend, exercising, just things that are healthy for you. You learn healthy ways to cope instead of just ignoring it and it turning into a bigger problem. But one thing that I always like to remind people is that healing isn't linear. And so when issues aren't resolved by the end of the book, that's a realistic expectation, because it's not resolved in 400, 500 pages. And I don't want anybody to ever believe that things are just happy-go-lucky by the end of the book. They're still dealing with things at the end of it all, because there's things that I go to therapy for and I'm still dealing with it at the end of it all, but now the triggers are a little less triggering and I know how to navigate them better. I believe there needs to be a spotlight on friendship and girlfriendship, because our friends are what make us they make us who we are. And you don't need to have 500 friends. You could have 3 really close knit friends that are there for you at the drop of a hat. If you needed something, you can call them and then they would be there for you. But friendship is so important, because we weren't meant to go through this life alone. I wouldn't say that other people make you happy, but you can share your happiness with other people, and friendships bring that happiness into your life. Like really good, solid friendships bring that into your life. I've been best friends with I've known my best friend for 22 years now, and without that relationship, I don't know where I would be. It's one of my most important relationships in my life. And when I remember doing my interview with you and how you said that my books have multiple love stories, it's not just the 2 main characters falling in love, there's so many other love stories throughout there, and I believe that your soulmate isn't just your spouse, it could be your best friends too.
That we all have different forms of love for those in our lives. We don't love people the same way, as I love my husband in a different way than I love my sons, and vice versa. And my friends, I love them differently, and my family, and there's just so many. We are filled with so much love.
Yeah. And that's why I also try to do platonic relationships between a male and a female, because I believe that you can have those platonic relationships between men and women, and it's not just oh, I have to have all girlfriends, or I have to only hang out with guy friends. You can have just really good supportive people in your life, and that's what matters.
in the beginning we bonded because we both lost our mothers young, and she started as a customer, became a friend, and then she's family.
Because it's Girlfriends Unfiltered, the goal is to hold friendships and share friendships with everyone and make space and continue to make space. Best friendship, all I've wanted, all I've needed, author A.E Valdez.
So we're talking about love on pages, and I write my love stories in a unique way. I can do, like for example, in Colliding with Fate, Quinn and Kyrell are in a friends with benefit situation, and I like to do like, they may have a relationship in the very beginning, but it's a slow burn for them to actually get together. I just think that friendship is the basis of any relationship, so that's where I start my books off at, is they have to be friends first before they can get anywhere else. Regardless of what they have going on. And I don't know if I would call it erotica. I definitely wouldn't call it erotica, but there's like, as you said, love on pages. Books written by Black authors often are classified as erotica because of the over-sexualization of women of color in general, especially Black women. I don't have control over that personally because I can pick categories on Amazon. But then once it's uploaded and people start reading it and it starts ranking in Amazon stores, it's almost like AI tweaks it to be whatever they feel it should be. And like Colliding with Fate, as you said, is under erotica, and I don't know why that is because I didn't put it there. But that is part of the problem with the publishing industry, is that you know, you can have a book by a white author and it's not seen that way. It's seen as some like women's fiction, and it's, you know, bestsellers list and everything, and it still has the sexual element in there. But with our books, it's not the same. It's not given the same grace. And so I still am going to write books the way that I write books, and if people don't like it, then they don't have to read it. They can skip over it, but I'm still going to do it anyway. I feel that Black love in a book is important because love is love, right? But I was watching a Dave Chappelle special, and he said, can I curse on here? Okay. And he said everybody fucks differently, and I believe that. And so I just like to show, because each couple's different too, like everybody's different, and I just like to show that and their chemistry and their energy and their vibe on page, because I feel like when two people come together in that intimate way, it's only in a way that they can come together. So I feel that's important to show in our stories, if that's your thing. So I am a gamer. Outside of writing, I love playing games, and I started playing Sims after I graduated college because I needed something to do just instead of twiddling my thumbs.
I first found out she was writing for Sims, I think it's called, a game. Her dream was to become an author. So I've always known that she wants to write, and I just love that she's following her dreams.
And then I thought, okay, well, I love writing and I have the Sims and I can make them do whatever I want, so why not tell a visual story? And so I did. I started telling a visual story using like Instagram and Patreon. At first there was like nobody, and then all of a sudden my account started growing, and people were following me to get these like episodes about these Sims lives who aren't even real, you know, they're just pixels on a screen, and I'm telling this story and people are following me and they're subscribing to my Patreon, they're paying for this. And so, you know, it was just such a surreal experience, and I thought, okay, if I can do this, then I can write a book. And that's what led me to start writing and publishing books. And so without the Sims, I don't know that I would be here, so. The first book that my mom read was All I've Wanted, All I've Needed, and she was good up until they actually started, like they actually got together, and then she like checked out.
I tried. As a mom, I can't. The saucy parts are too much for me. I tried. I do have all of her books though. I tell her, I buy them all just because I want to support her and I want to be there for her, but I tried reading them, but now I told her she ruined all of the romance for me.
She did finish the book, but I don't think she's picked up one since then. But she still buys it, still sitting on her shelf, she still supports. I'm always inspired by my peers, like the other authors in the community, and since joining like TikTok and even just like through my books and growing as an author, I've met so many amazing authors, and one that inspires me a lot is S.J. Stewart. She's kind of like a genre jumper, but she's amazing. I look up to her a lot, and she's a lot of motivation for me too. And I've started talking to Kennedy Ryan, so she's a huge inspiration for me as well. Christina C. Jones will forever be an inspiration. I was watching her YouTube videos religiously when I first started writing because she has so much good information that she shares freely with others that is invaluable to the community. And if I had a dream collab, it would be with Christina C. Jones. And if you're new to writing, it's important to stay true to yourself, stay true to your art, stay true to your voice, because nobody has that except you. And your story deserves to be told in the way that you wish other people to hear it. And that's a large reason why I'm an independent author, because I believe that your own personal voice is so important. So take up space, tell your stories, and be unapologetically you. Okay, so finding inspiration in Yakima Valley. So we moved here when I was 16, I think, and all of my books are based in the Pacific Northwest, and even the one, Snow King Catches a Snowflake, it's in a like a fictional place, but it's still in Washington State. So this is my home. I find inspiration everywhere. I love living here. And for when I was younger, of course, I wanted to go anywhere but here. And now I'm like, I can't ever wait to like come back home. I find inspiration everywhere, and my community's here. So everything here will always inspire me. Okay, like, hopefully I don't cry. Okay. Give me a second.
Good?
Yeah. I want to thank my mom, even though she's not here anymore, for telling me that it's okay to be different. And my dad, for teaching me what unconditional love is. I want to thank my second mom, Maria, for teaching me what found family is and that blood doesn't mean anything. And my siblings for being a part of who I am today. And my husband for being so supportive in any way he can be. And most of all, my readers, because I wouldn't be here without them. And that's it. That's all I got.
You got it.
We're all deserving of happiness and of a love that's so deep that you only discover the depths to which it goes with each passing day as your love grows. That's it.